This past week, me and my family went on a vacation down to the beach in Florida, and I've got to confess that my wife has made a beach person out of me. When we went to the beach first years ago, it would drive me crazy. I would get bored. I would easily want to go do something else, but now I am quite satisfied just sitting on the beach under an umbrella, reading a book or listening to music and watching the ocean. Well, this past week, as we're there, I go by myself on a little walk down to a point, and as I'm walking, I walk by a family on the beach, and there is a little boy who had made a sandcastle, and it was pretty impressive, really. You can tell this little boy had put a lot of work into it. It had towers, it had a moat, he had adorned it with little seashells, and it was pretty impressive, better than I could have done. This little boy was proud of it, but tragedy struck as I'm walking by. And another little boy, I'm assuming it was his brother or maybe a cousin or something, like Godzilla through a town, comes through and absolutely wrecks this little kid's castle. And as you might imagine, this little boy loses it. I mean, he's angry, he's crying, he's yelling, "Why would you do that?" He is telling his parents on this little kid, and you had to feel sorry for this little guy. But it points us to a truth that we all should remember, that castles made of sand are temporary. We talk about castles this morning. You might ask why. Well, because even though we get older, we still make castles every day in our everyday lives. They just look a little different. Bob Goff, a favorite author of mine, wrote this in one of his books, Everybody Always. We actually build castles all the time out of our jobs, out of our families, and the things we've purchased. Sometimes we even make them out of each other. Some of these castles are impressive too. Lots of people come to admire what we've built over the course of our lives and tell us what great castles we have. But Jesus told his friends that we aren't supposed to spend our lives building castles. He said he wanted us to build a kingdom. And there's a big difference between building castles and building a kingdom. You see, castles have moats to keep creepy people out, but kingdoms have bridges to let everyone in. Castles have dungeons for people who have messed up, but kingdoms have grace. And it reminds me a little bit of a warning that Jesus gives in the parable of the rich fool, which is a story that was prompted by another man coming to him and asking Jesus questions about money, questions about inheritance. And out of that, he tells this parable, this story of this rich man who was building castles, the castle of wealth, the castle of building bigger and better, of acquiring more and more stuff. This man wanted to, near the end of his life, just eat, drink, and be merry and just take life easy. And that sounds all too familiar because we live in a culture where we strive to build castles that we can put on display for other people to see and other people to praise us for. And it can become really easy in a culture like that for us to ultimately find our self-worth, our value from the castles that we build. And so I guess the question that I leave you with to think about this week is this: what are you building in your life? Are you building castles, or are you striving to build the kingdom of God? Because the person who is focused on building castles is sucked into this tiny little worldview where they are just entertaining themselves to the end of life. But the person who understands that their story is a part of a much bigger story can ditch these worthless pursuits and really pursue a kingdom that will last forever.